Okay, Social Security was passed in 1935. Townsend had reminded people that they need to take care of the less capable, disabled, unemployed, the aging. Criticisms for it was that it was too few people could collect a pension. Old age pension was $10 to $85 per month, but not everybody was covered and did not include farmers or domestic servants. The unemployment package was inadequate, did not include those who were out of work, only those who could lose their jobs in the future. Established a pattern of government aid to the poor, aged, and handicapped. Just a lot of criticism on it. It was too hard to get and not enough. Labor legislation, Wagner Act allowed unions to organize, outlaw unfair labor practices, supported collective bargaining with federal support and management, created the National Labor Relations Board. A lot of what some of his unconstitutional stuff had tried to do, but this was actually legal for him to enact. Fair Labor Standard Act to set a maximum hour for work week at 40 hours a week, time and a half if you go over, and minimum wage at 40 cents an hour. Led to pay increase, up a system that could be built on later. FDR was very cautious, wanted to improve the quality of life without major sweeping reforms. The National Recovery Act spurred on legislation for union organizers. Congress of Industrial Organization, CIO, was formed by John L. Lewis. He had renamed his group after being expelled from the head of the United Mine Workers. CIO unionizes the steel and auto industries, wanted to extend collective bargaining. There's a lot of strikes happening, especially in the auto industry, some of them ending in death for strikers. And so it'll hit 5 million. They'll exclude farm workers, however. The impact of the New Deal, staying within the traditional American traditions, brought overdue improvements. Others failed to address unfairnesses and imbalances. Helps labor unions the most. Unemployment goes from 25% to 15%, but it helps women and minority groups the least. Some of the crop reduction part of the New Deal led to firing of a lot of the minority groups. Those that had worked on the farms as maybe sharecroppers or tenant farmers or just farm hands. Public works programs, however, did not discriminate. New Deal figures that convincing minorities that the government is on their side, break from previous Republican loyalties. They are going to, as a demographic, African Americans are going to start voting for the Democrat Party, change their political affiliation. The government was helping Harry Hopkins, the one who was in charge of facilitating a lot of the money for these different programs, considered himself colorblind. Didn't matter what your ethnicity was, what your race was, he was going to help you anyways. The Indian Reorganization Act gave Native American Indians greater control, encouraged tribal unity to make native projects and sell those for economic independence, basically reversing the Dawes Severity Act from the 1880s. For women, they lost their jobs more frequently than men. A lot of people disapproved still of women working, and so there's a lot of gender discrimination. Hardly any New Deal programs helped them. Most of the low-paying jobs were not under government control and therefore did not have a lot of regulation or assistance. Progress in the government, however, some women getting some government jobs, public service jobs. Frances Perkins, the Secretary of Labor, first woman cabinet member. Many other women to other posts, representatives, ambassadors, federal judges. Eleanor Roosevelt, big model for activism, encouraging women, traveling around the country, trying to uncover wrongs that were happening and doing something about them. The end of the New Deal, 1936, his re-election comes up, surprising his victory in the election. Democrats in Congress will resist some of his programs despite the popularity with which he was voted. His campaign attacked the rich, promised further reforms, and he won the election with his coalition of the South, the cities, the laborers, the ethnic groups, the African Americans, the poverty class, pretty much everybody but rich white Americans, leaving the Republicans in the minority. As you can see in the results, he won 523 electoral votes to 8. Little one-sided. Despite that popularity, the Supreme Court is going to fight against some of the things he wanted to do. They blocked some of his first-term programs. The NRA and the Agricultural Adjustment Act were found unconstitutional. FDR, not really liking that so much, wanted to pack the court. He wanted to appoint a new member of Supreme Court for everybody over 70, up to a maximum of 6. He said they were falling behind schedule because of their old age and wanted to upgrade or renew the presence of the Supreme Court, and they say no. Congressional protest against it, afraid of setting a dangerous precedent by packing the court with people and judges that would have favored his policies. The opponents to FDR got a little bit more courageous in Congress, and people were more willing to openly defy some of his New Deal reforms, things they thought crossed too many lines. Okay, last little bit, New Deal in decline. 1936 cutback for relief agencies, not extend any New Deal, any more reforms to any new agencies. We're going to hit a recession right before World War II, which Roosevelt will be blamed for. Republican Party starts to revive. It's not so much everybody's a Democrat and a few Republicans. It will go a little bit more evenly towards the end of the 1930s. And those are the different limitations and achievements of the New Deal. Depression had not ended. World War II is going to bring the U.S. out of the Depression. And the achievements are the Social Security Act, the Wagner Act stimulating the growth of unions and raising minimum wage law. And then the political realignment of the 1930s, whereas a lot of the political loyalties of different ethnic groups and demographics are going to shift and really align to more modern divisions. And that's it.